I want to tell you about the Sunday I walked into a church alone for the first time at 69 years old. If these honest words are a comfort to you, take a moment and subscribe so we can keep walking this road together. It was a cold morning, the kind where your breath fogs the windshield and you keep the engine running just for the warmth. I was parked in the far corner of the lot, and I sat there for almost 10 minutes, just sitting, watching. Couples walked past my car toward the big wooden doors. Families too, a husband holding the small of his wife's back, 2 grown daughters on either side of their mother, laughing about something, hands linked, everyone already belonging to someone. And there I was, alone in a cold car, watching other people walk into a place I hadn't found the nerve to enter. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel, not from the cold. I gripped it tighter, the way you do when part of you is thinking about backing right out of that lot and driving home. My purse sat there on the passenger seat, where a hand used to reach for mine. That seat was empty now. It had been empty for a while. Maybe you know this ache too. The fear of being the only one who came alone. The fear of an empty space beside you on the pew, where a hand used to rest. If you felt that, you already understand exactly why I was still sitting in my car. And here's the thing. I'd had reasons not to go for years. Good ones. Or so I told myself. First, it was too far. The drive was long, and Sunday mornings were for slow coffee and the newspaper. Then life got busy, and the years filled up with everything except that one wooden door. And then when I was finally alone, when the busy years were behind me, and there was nothing left to hide behind, the last reason came, the truest one. I was afraid to walk in with no one beside me. That was the reason I never said out loud. It's easy to say too far. It's easy to say too busy. It's much harder to say, I'm afraid to be the woman who walks in by herself and takes a seat near the back, close to the door, in case she needs to leave. But something moved in me that morning. I don't know what to call it. I turned off the engine. The lot went quiet. I picked up my purse, and I opened the car door into the cold. And I put one foot on the ground, and then the other. My legs carried me across that lot before my courage caught up. Up the stone steps, one at a time, each one taller than it looked. I didn't feel ready. I want you to hear that. I wasn't brave. I just let my feet go, and my feet went. And then I was there, at the doorway. I stopped. I stood on that threshold, feeling every single one of my 69 years, certain that everyone inside could see exactly how out of place I was. So I stepped inside, past that doorway, where I stood feeling every one of my years, into a room already full, rows of the backs of heads, soft music playing, and not one familiar face turning to greet me. The pews were fuller than my courage. That is the only way I know how to say it. All those people settled into the side of their places, easy in a room I was only just daring to enter. Warm light came down through the stained glass, soft and colored, spilling across the wooden pews. And nobody turned around. Nobody knew I was there. I stood at the edge of it all, small and unseen, holding my purse against me like it could keep me steady. So I did what a frightened heart does. I found a seat near the back, on the aisle, close to the door, the way you sit when part of you still wants to run. If it got to be too much, I could slip out quietly, and no one would notice one more empty space. That was the plan I made, without ever saying it out loud. I set my purse down beside me, on the bare wood where no one else sat, and I looked at that little stretch of empty pew for a moment. The place where, in another life, a hand might have reached for mine. There was no hand now, just the smooth, cool wood and my own bag resting where a person used to be. I folded my hands in my lap. They were still shaking. 69 years old, and my own hands would not be still. I pressed them together, one over the other, the way my mother used to, and I waited. I honestly thought I knew what was coming. I sat there and I braced for the loneliness to rise up and swallow me whole. Right there in a room full of people. That is the strange cruelty of it, isn't it? You can feel most alone in the middle of a crowd when everyone around you seems to belong, and you are the only one who came by yourself. I want to stop here for just a moment because maybe you know this feeling. Maybe you are living it right now. So let me ask you gently, where are you on your own road today? What door have you been afraid to walk through alone? Tell me in the comments, because someone reading this may need to hear they are not the only one. Your words could be the thing that carries a stranger through her own front step. And if these words are meeting you where you are, subscribe and stay a while. There is more of this road, and I would be glad to walk it with you. Now, back to that pew and my folded hands and the loneliness I was so sure was about to break over me. Because something else came instead. The music shifted, people around me began to rise, hymn books opening, and the singing started, soft at first, then filling the whole room, up into the rafters. I stayed in my seat by the door, not knowing the words, not knowing the tune. And just then, a few seats down from me, an older woman caught my eye. She did not know my name. She did not ask why I was alone, but she was about to do one small thing that would undo everything the fear had told me. She moved her hymn book a little closer, just a few inches across that wooden pew. She turned it so I could see the page, and she showed me where we were. Such a small thing. I want you to understand how small. She didn't take my hand. She didn't lean over and whisper that everything would be all right. She just made room for me on a page, and it undid me. My eyes filled up right there in the back row. I had walked embraced for the loneliness to swallow me whole, and instead a woman whose name I still don't know made a little space for me to belong. My hands were still folded in my lap, still trembling a little, but something in my chest went quiet. And that was when I understood something I had been getting wrong for a very long time. The belonging I was so afraid I had lost. The thing I thought disappeared the day the seat beside me went empty. It was never a person. It was never a hand reaching for mine on the pew. I had spent years thinking belonging was someone next to me. It wasn't. It was something quieter, something deeper. And it had been waiting in that still, sacred room the whole time, patient, while I sat out in the parking lot, too afraid to come in. There is a psalm that says, we are held even in the dark, even when no one sees us, even when we feel completely unseen. I have read those words many times over the years, but I don't think I felt them, really felt them, until that ordinary Sunday morning in a room full of strangers with a hymn book tilted toward me. And the strangest thing happened as the morning went on. Those rows of the backs of heads slowly stopped being strangers. A man across the aisle nodded when the singing ended. Someone passed me a folded paper with the words on it. By the time it was over, 3 people had said good morning to me by the door. The loneliness I had climbed those steps expecting, it just never came. It never arrived. There was no room left for it. Now, I want to be honest with you about the bravest part of that day, because I think we get it wrong. We think the brave people are the ones who feel ready, the ones who walk in with their shoulders back and no fear in them. That was not me. I did not walk in with courage. I walked in with fear. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. My feet wanted to run, and I let them carry me through that door anyway. That was the brave thing, not feeling ready, just going. So let me speak to you now gently. If you are living alone now, learning that being by yourself does not have to mean being lonely, hear me. There is a door you have been standing outside of. Maybe you've been sitting in your own parking lot for years, and I want you to know you were never as alone in there as you feared. Sometimes being alone is not the end of the story. Sometimes it is where a quieter, deeper hope begins. That's what I found at 69. In the back row, near the aisle, close to the door. The step is small, smaller than all the fear around it. It is just walking through the door, that's all. And on the other side of it, there may be someone already moving their hymn book a little closer, making room on the page, waiting to show you where we are. Go, dear one, even afraid, especially afraid. Just go.